The first principle is professional behavior. This principle describes how an educator serves as a positive role model for both the students and adults and is responsible for preserving the dignity and integrity of the teaching profession and for practicing the profession at the highest ethical standards. Some examples that are conduct unbecoming to the principle includes but is not limited to failing to adhere to the licensure code of professional conduct for Ohio educators, or assisting another person in committing an act that is unbecoming in that same code of professional conduct for Ohio educators. Having a continuing physical or mental inability, incapacity, or addiction that significantly impacts the educator's ability to carry out his or her professional responsibilities and renders the educator incapable of safely maintaining the care, custody, and control of students. The individual more conduct unbecoming to the profession includes committing any violation of state or federal laws, statutes, or rules, although the conduct may not have resulted in a criminal charge, indictment, prosecution, or conviction. Um, Another act that is unbecoming to the profession is disparaging a colleague, peer, or other school personnel while working in a professional setting. This could be teaching or coaching or supervising or in parent-teacher conferences. It doesn't just have to necessarily be between the bells in the classroom. It could be after school, before school. Um, so disparaging a colleague in these settings on a basis of race, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, gender, national origin, sexual orientation, political or religious affiliation, physical characteristics, age, disability, or English language proficiency. Um, the conduct unbecoming to this profession includes harassing, intimidating, or retaliating against a colleague, peer, or other school personnel, sexually harassing any student, minor or adult in the school community, failing to complete a criminal background check, violating local, state, or federal procedures related to the security of standardized tests, test supplies, or resources, failing to verify prior to hiring, recommending for employment, or issuing payment except as permitted by law, that an educator possesses the appropriate credential type for the educator's position, so making sure the educator is actually qualified for what they are going to be paid to do, accepting or holding employment that requires the educator to engage in activities or duties outside of the scope of the educator's credential type. It's basically saying the same thing, just that the only activities that the teacher is required to do is what they're actually qualified to be doing. Being disciplined by another state educational entity or another professional licensing board or entity for unethical conduct. So actions that were deemed unprofessional by another state, another county, another profession can carry over into whatever teaching um, teaching district you're in at the moment. Being disciplined by or committing an act of academic dishonesty, so plagiarism, um, and also engaging in nepotism as prohibited by local, state, or federal law. And the disciplinary actions for breaking this professional behavior. Educators shall behave as professionals, realizing that their actions directly relate on the status and substance of the education profession. So, if an educator violates Principle 1, which is the professional behavior, the presumption for the appropriate range of disciplinary action is could be suspended. The first step is suspension 1 day to 1 year of a license, depending upon the violation of the testing procedure. So the length of the suspension would be based off the severity of the action. Suspension. The second step is suspension of a license until the educator comes into compliance with the required background checks. So if it's something that is a background check or paperwork, then the license could be suspended till the paperwork is up to date. And then third is a letter of admonishment up to revocation or denial of a license. So you could be stripped of your license altogether and it wouldn't be suspended, so you could not get it back. And those are the three levels of the disciplinary actions for the first principle of professional behavior.